Well, hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Awesome to have you with us again. Happy Friday. Are bikes really dangerous? Or is it just a tale that our parents tell us to keep us off them when we're young? Stick around and we'll talk about it. So, are bikes really dangerous? Our parents and the media and even the motovlogging community to a certain extent will have you believe that they are. What do the numbers tell us? Well, in the UK there are about 1.1 million bikes registered as roadworthy, compared to around 36.5 million cars. So as bikers we make up about 3% of all the vehicles that are registered to be used on the road. We can't really take a look at any statistics unless we look at how many miles we do. So your average biker makes around 400 trips per year and covers an average of about 4,000 miles a year. So on average, UK motorcyclists cover around 4.5 billion miles a year, which, you know, that's an awful lot of miles. Other vehicles, so cars, trucks and lorries, etc., all cover combined 323 billion miles a year. So while bikers make up 3% of the registered vehicles that can use the road, we only cover about 1.3% of the actual annual miles covered by road users. So from that we can determine that we use the roads less than others comparatively. So that's one thing to bear in mind. In terms of actual use, we only use the road 1.3% of the time compared to all other traffic. So now we know how much we use the road in comparison to other road users, let's have a look at the number of accidents, injuries and fatalities every year. So annually we record around 19,300 accidents involving motorcycles, and of those around 320 result in a fatality and 5,500 result in a major injury or a serious injury. If you look at all other traffic on the road, there are 171,000 accidents recorded for all other types of vehicles, and out of those 1,780 people are killed. So as motorcyclists we use the road just over 1% of the time, yet we make up 11% of accidents in total and 17% of deaths. So if you look at that in a different way and think about the number of injuries per billion miles covered, bikes is around 4,300 injuries per billion miles, and cars is 530 injuries per billion miles, which means mile for mile on a bike you're 9 times more likely to be injured than if you were riding in a car. So if we do the same for deaths and we look at how many deaths per billion miles, then we see that bikes, there's around 71 deaths per billion miles, and cars is 5.5 deaths per billion miles. So you're 12 times more likely to die on a motorcycle as you are in a car per mile. So those are some pretty harrowing figures, to be honest. 9 times more likely to be injured per mile and 12 times more likely to be killed per mile on a motorcycle than you are in a car. So let's have a look at the reasons why accidents happen on a bike rather more commonly than they do in a car, and what the main causes of bike accidents are. 64% of bike accidents happen at a junction, and the majority of those are caused by car drivers not seeing you on your bike. 38% of accidents on motorcycles occur as a result of excessive speed, or excessive speed is a contributing factor. In 22% of bike accidents, they're single vehicle. There is no other vehicle involved other than the bike. Now, there's lots of reasons you can fall off your bike without another vehicle involved. You can hit something on the road, whether it's gravel, diesel, mud. You could fail to negotiate a bend. And incidentally, failing to negotiate a bend contributes to 9% of motorcycle accidents. We're talking about counter steering in another video, and cornering techniques. So that all comes into play. 20% of accidents are a result of a loss of control, and quite a lot of those are included in that 22% figure where they're single vehicle accidents. But that could be loss of control under accelerating, it could be loss of control under braking, it could be loss of control on a corner due to something on the road, or just failing to negotiate. 15% of accidents involve overtaking. So, how many times have you seen videos of people online on a bike overtaking a line of traffic, and a car pulls out, turns left or right in front of them? And 11% of bike accidents are shunts, and the vast majority of those are bikers running into the back of cars. They're not the car driver's fault, they are the biker's fault for following too closely. That's 11%. It's a big number. So a lot of those percentages overlap. There can be multiple causes of an accident. But if we can understand the main causes of accidents, then we can try to mitigate them when we're riding. Some of it is down to situational awareness. Other parts of it are appropriate speed for situations. We all speed at times, but there's a time and place. So yeah, it's just things to think about when you go out on your bike. What could you do to minimise your chances or minimise your risk of being involved in an accident? When we look at the main people involved in accidents, it's quite interesting. So 93% of accidents on motorcycles involve men. That's not massively surprising, since men make up 90% of motorcycle riders, with women making up the remaining 10%. So there's only a 3% disparity there. It does indicate that men are slightly more likely to have an accident on their bike, but it's not massively disparate. 37% of bike accidents involve the under 25s. So much like cars, the majority of people having accidents are younger riders. There's a lot of reasons for that. Experience is one, and bravado is another. We all feel invincible when we're young. So yeah, younger riders far more at risk, making up nearly best part of 40% of accidents. That's part of the reason why in the UK the licensing is set up the way that it is, where you can only ride a full-size bike if you're over 24, or if you're over 21 and you've had 2 years experience, and then you have to take another test. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why in the UK at least we limit the types of bikes that young people can ride. Maybe unsurprisingly, Sundays are the highest risk day. That in part though is a result of the majority of people who go out on a ride for their bike do so for pleasure, and the majority of people who do that go out on a Sunday. So there's more bikes on the roads on Sundays, therefore there's more bike accidents on Sundays. There's not much we can do about that, other than not having accidents in the first place. 83% of bike accidents actually occur in good weather. The weather isn't a contributing factor. So the other 17%, the weather can be a contributing factor, or it might not be. But 83% of bike accidents occur in good weather, where the road conditions are dry and good. Again, a lot of that is a result of the majority of people ride for pleasure and therefore choose not to ride in the rain. or in bad weather. So that is disproportionately high, because that's a result of when people choose to ride the bikes at the end of the day. So again, there's not a huge amount we can do about that. I guess this one's probably one of the most shocking ones. 58% of bike accidents, all bike accidents, occur on 50cc to 125cc motorcycles. 58% of all bike accidents occur on motorcycles under 125cc's. Now, in the UK, you can ride on L plates if you're over 17 at 125 on the road. And all you have to do is a CBT, which involves riding around some cones in a car park for a couple of hours and then doing a 2-hour road ride. As a result, there are an awful lot of people out on the roads on small cc bikes who have very little experience. Now, we all have to start somewhere. We all get a small bike to tootle around on and have a bit of fun on when we're learning. You know, we have to do that. And we all have to learn, and the best way to learn is through experience. Unfortunately, 58% of people have an accident when they're on a small bike. So I guess the point I'm trying to make there is you are just as likely to hurt yourself on a small bike as you are on a big bike. At the end of the day, 20 miles per hour is fast for the human body to be travelling, especially if you then try and stop it suddenly by hitting the ground or some other obstacle. So just because you're on a small bike doesn't mean that you're going to have less serious accidents than if you're on a big bike. All that happens when you get a big bike is that you can get yourself in trouble an awful lot quicker. So I guess all of those statistics can be pretty scary. 9 times more likely to be injured, 12 times more likely to die. Well over half of bike accidents involve people on small cc bikes. Nearly half involve people under 25. So all of that is pretty harrowing, to be honest. It does point to motorcycling being an incredibly dangerous pursuit and a very silly thing to do. So what's the point in me making this video? I said in a previous one, part of my reason for motovlogging is to get people into biking. That is true. But I wanted to talk about the things that people don't talk about as well. But one of those things that people don't talk about is what we can do as bikers to make ourselves safe on the road. You always hear that accidents are car drivers' fault. There's nothing we can do as bikers, it's just a risk we take getting on a bike and riding. But that's just not true. We as bikers have to take responsibility for our own safety. And there's lots of things we can do to make sure we are safe on the road. Now, I'm not going to dictate to you how you should dress on your bike and how you should ride your bike. You can choose to ride and dress on your bike however you like. If you want to go out in shorts and a t-shirt, that's absolutely fine. It is your right to do that. As long as you understand the risks, it's completely fine. The same for you guys in the States, where you're not mandated to wear helmets in some states. That's fine. Not a problem at all. It is within your right to do that, and you know, that's absolutely fine. It is your choice, and I'm not going to dictate to you that you should wear all the gear all of the time, because quite frankly I don't. So I'm not going to sit here on my bike and lecture you on what you should and shouldn't do on your bike. But I think it is important that we as bikers take responsibility for our own actions and what we do and how we choose to ride and how we present ourselves on the road. I've talked in other videos about defensive riding, and that's a lot of those techniques you learn over the years anyway. You can go and do an advanced riders course which will teach you a lot of it, but there's a big difference between being taught it for a few days and actually putting it into practice and using it on the road. We can make ourselves more visible to car drivers. We ride with the headlights on, we can wear brightly coloured clothes, we can ride brightly coloured bikes. Again, I can't preach on that. I ride an all black bike in all black gear nearly all of the time, but it's a risk that I've chosen to take. An awful lot of bike accidents are a result of inexperience. Unfortunately, there is only one way to get experience, and that is to get out and ride your bikes, which in turn puts you at risk. So what can we do as bikers to take responsibility? And I think it really comes down to knowing the limits, and that's the limits of yourself and your skills, the limits of your bike. There are a lot of big bikes you're never going to get anywhere close to the limits of what they can do on the road. And if you want to explore the limits of your sports bike, take it on a track day. And know the road's limits as well. You know, what sort of surface are you riding on, what the hazards, what's your vision like. Know the limits of the road, yourself and your bike. So what's my point? Why am I making this video? I guess it's to try to encourage people to think a little bit about the way they ride and the risks they take when they ride, and to make people think about the risks that they take on bikes. I don't want it to put you off. That's not the reason for doing this. I just want you to think about the risks you take and whether they are appropriate, and whether you understand the risks you take yourselves. We all take risks in everything that we do in our lives. If we didn't take risks, we'd never leave the house. But ultimately, we as responsible adults have to take responsibility for ourselves and make informed choices about what we do. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a bit more of a serious topic this time. Drop us a comment below. Let me know what your opinions are. Let me know what you think. It's fine to disagree. Please don't get bitchy with each other. It's been absolutely fantastic having you along for the ride. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell button to be notified of new content, and if you liked it, hit the like button. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down. It's all good with me. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys. Have a fantastic weekend wherever you are in the world. Stay safe, get out on those bikes and enjoy them. Don't let me put you off talking about the serious stuff. Have a good one, guys, and I'll speak to you again very soon.